The only people that I know who aren't are people who are unhappy in life and then a big disappointment.
At the height of his success, Dan Blocker had everything most actors spend decades chasing: stability, respect, a beloved role, a loyal audience. And yet, the ending of his story came without warning. No dramatic buildup, no public scandal, no sign that anything was about to go wrong. Just a sudden silence. And that silence never lifted. A gentle giant born in hard times. Before he became Haas Cartwright, Dan Blocker was already larger than life. Born December 10th, 1928, in Texas, he weighed an astonishing 14 pounds at birth, reportedly the largest baby ever born in Bowie County. He grew up during the Great Depression in the small town of O'Donnell, Texas, where his father lost everything before opening a small grocery store. Dan helped carry groceries. He worked hard. He stood out literally. By his teenage years, he weighed nearly 275 pounds. On Saturday nights, locals would rope off part of Main Street so challengers could test their strength against him. According to Blocker, he never lost. But strength wasn't his only gift. The accident that changed his life. Dan attended college on a football scholarship at Sul Ross State University. But fate intervened. The drama club needed someone strong enough to move heavy stage props for a production of Arsenic and Old Lace. He stepped in to help. Then someone suggested he try acting. The moment he stepped on stage, something clicked. He switched his major to theater and never looked back. War shaped the man behind the cowboy. In 1950, Dan Blocker was drafted into the U.S. Army during the Korean War. He served with the 45th Infantry Division and fought in brutal battles, including Outpost Erie and Pork Chop Hill. During one ambush, he reportedly held his position under heavy fire for hours to protect fellow soldiers. By the time he returned home in 1952, he had risen to the rank of sergeant. But war changed him. He once enjoyed hunting. After Korea, he refused to own a gun. Even though he would later play a cowboy on television, he privately despised firearms. That contrast defined him. The man was nothing like the character. In 1959, he was cast as Haas Cartwright on Bonanza. At 6 feet 4 inches and over 300 pounds, he looked intimidating. But Haas was gentle, soft-spoken, kind, and so was Dan. In real life, he held a master's degree in theater. He had been a school teacher. He was thoughtful, well-read, deeply compassionate. He once said the line between himself and Haas blurred during the early seasons. It took years before he learned to leave the character on the soundstage. He hated fame. By the mid-1960s, Bonanza had become one of the biggest shows in television history. Dan Blocker was a millionaire, but he had no interest in celebrity life. While other stars moved to Beverly Hills, he lived quietly in Northridge, California. He disliked public attention, being touched by strangers, Hollywood parties. He just wanted to be a husband and father. The move to Switzerland. At the height of his fame, Blocker made an unusual decision. He moved his family to Lugano, Switzerland. Not for money, not for taxes, for privacy. In southern Switzerland, Bonanza aired in German, and most locals didn't even watch it. For the first time in years, he could walk down the street as just Dan. No autographs, no crowds, no grabbing hands, just peace. In 1972, Blocker returned to the U.S. to film another season of Bonanza. But something felt wrong. He was exhausted, weak. Doctors determined he needed gallbladder surgery, a routine procedure. The surgery appeared successful. He went home to recover. Hours later, he was rushed back to the hospital. A pulmonary embolism, a blood clot in the lungs. Dan Blocker died on May 13, 1972. He was only 43 years old. No long illness, no warning, just gone. After his death, his wife Dolphia faced a choice. She could have given interviews, written a memoir, built a public identity around his legacy. She chose something rarer: silence. She raised their 4 children privately. She never remarried. She never sought publicity. She protected her family the same way Dan always tried to. And because she stayed out of the spotlight, their story became one of Hollywood's quietest tragedies. The legacy. Dan Blocker wasn't just a television cowboy. He was a war veteran, A teacher, a devoted father, a man who believed in kindness. He created a character that symbolized decency in a violent world. And in real life, he lived that decency. When he died, Bonanza didn't recast Haas. They wrote him out, because some roles and some men can't be replaced. Final reflection. Fame didn't change Dan Blocker. It never owned him. In the end, he chose family over celebrity, privacy over headlines, peace over popularity. And maybe that's why his loss still feels so heavy. Not because he was famous, but because he was good. Like, share, subscribe to Fact World for more amazing videos like this. Hit like must goodbye.